What was the Korean War?
Origins of the Korean War first began in 1948 when the United Nations helped facilitate the elections within the countries to try to make them fair. This in turn caused Korea to split into two countries, with North Korea favoring the communist ideology and South Korea favoring the democratic ideology. The differences between the two countries' types of government that they favored made it very hard for them to compromise, and this ultimately led to the events of the Korean War. Now for a summary of the key points that led up to the war.
The Korean War was a 3-year struggle near the start of the Cold War between Communist North Korea and Democratic South Korea, which involved other countries such as the United States, China, and a multinational United Nations coalition.
Who was involved in the Korean War?
So it was fought between the North and South. North Korea was supported by Soviet Russia. South Korea was supported by USA and UN, which gave military aid during wartime. North Korea was communist and South Korea was a capitalist. Korea was divided after World War II along the 38th parallel. The leaders of North Korea was Kim Il-sung, South Korea Syngman Rhee, USA Truman. Differing political philosophies started the war. Korean War is a direct reflection of the conflict views Communist USSR and capitalist USA. War ended in 1953.
Air Battle of South Korea began on June 25, 1950, when North Korea attempted to invade South Korea. It was fought between North Korea and the United Nations over South Korea. It lasted a month and ended with a United Nations victory. The United Nations effectively destroyed the North Korean People's Air Force's ability to attack via air. They obtained air superiority in the Korean War, allowing them to move their troops on land without fear of air attacks. The United Nations destroyed 110 of the 132 aircrafts Korea had. Of the 1,200 the UN had, only 10 were destroyed.
Due to North and South Korea lacking a significant navy, there were few sea battles. UN ships spent most of their war sinking any ammunition or supply ships that could have allowed them to resupply via the sea. They created blockades in order to restrict the Korean War efforts. North Korea created magnetic mines in order to stop them. Only 5 US ships were lost to magnetic mines. The last sea battle of Korea occurred in Incheon before the land battle of Incheon, which the UN controlled the sea near Korea. The Battle of Incheon was also known as Operation Chromite.
An armistice called upon the governments of South Korea, North Korea, China, and the United States to participate in continued peace talks. The war is considered to have ended at this point, even though there was no peace treaty. North Korea nevertheless claims that it won the Korean War. In the aftermath of the war, South Korea was able to modernize and industrialize with the help of the United States. By contrast, North Korea's economy was at first robust, but in the 1990s it went into crisis. Total casualties of the war were about 2.5 million. Approximately 80,000 South Koreans were captured by the North during the war. However, North Korea has denied that it forcibly retained any prisoners from the war. The war left the peninsula divided, with the communist state in the north and a market economy state in the south. No Russian or Chinese military forces remain in North Korea today.